Ever since the Switch 2 Direct in April, there have been two factions fighting non-stop with extreme views on the system and Nintendo. One side blindly defends Nintendo and sees Nintendo more as a friend than a company, and the other side hates Nintendo no matter what they do going forward. I just want to talk about both these sides and then give some of my own opinions. Starting with Nintendo defenders, they'll just justify anything Nintendo does. If Nintendo charged $150 for games, they would find a way to make it seem like Nintendo's in the right. They are usually either very young or just so blindly loyal to the company that they have a parasocial relationship with Nintendo. They don't understand it's just a business trying to make money. Then for the Nintendo haters, they see the price tag and not only attack Nintendo, but attack anyone who even shows interest in the Switch 2. They could see a 5-year-old at a store excited about a Switch 2, and they'll rant and rant about how Nintendo is evil and too expensive to them. Both these extremes are just immature and toxic. I see both sides, but they're presented in a way that makes me not want to support either. I personally like the Switch 2, I think it's a well-made system, which is to be expected, and I think Mario Kart World is a fun game. With that being said, I think $80 for a game is just trying to get an extra $10 out of fans, which is an anti-consumer decision. Nintendo went from $60 Switch games to $80 Switch 2 games. I think there would be a lot less backlash if Nintendo just went with the industry standard $70. I also think accessories are overpriced and the $450 base price is steep. With that being said, as a Nintendo fan and as someone who covers Nintendo games, I made the decision to get a Switch 2. I really do like Mario Kart World, but I don't think it's an $80 game either. Fortunately, I work and have enough saved up to get the system, but a lot of people just don't have the money to spend on a Switch 2 or just can't justify it. The original Switch was $300 and had $60 games, which was a lot more affordable even with inflation. A lot of Nintendo defenders don't understand why someone may be upset about this and just result in calling others broke. Just today I saw a comment about the $20 price hikes for games saying how $20 is barely even money. And that's just a ridiculous comment. Maybe for a multi-millionaire it's not, but for the average person, $20 adds up. If you get 10 Switch 2 games at $80, that's an extra $200 plus tax that you probably could have had 4 games with. Now, not every Switch 2 game is going to be $80, but I promise we will see a lot more in the near future. So why is Nintendo charging more for games? Inflation is an obvious one. It's been 8 years since the Switch launched, and there's been rapid inflation in the past few years. I would completely understand $70 games if they take a lot of resources to make and are worth it. The additional $10, according to many Nintendo defenders, are tariffs. This is not an economic channel. I took a few economic classes in college, but I'm by no means an expert, so feel free to disagree with me when I say this. But while tariffs may be a factor, I think it's used more as an excuse to raise prices. Nintendo is a for-profit company, and if they can get away with charging extra money for games, why wouldn't they? There is a sweet spot for finding the most profit you can make from a product. You charge too much and you make more per unit but sell less. You charge too little and you make less per unit but sell more. There's a sweet spot where you maximize how much you can sell it for while offsetting the money you lose on people who won't buy because of the price. To make it easier to understand, if Nintendo charged $160 per game compared to $80, they would need to sell half as many units to make the same amount. Simple enough, right? But let's say Nintendo would sell 1 million copies at $80, but if they doubled it to $160, only 200,000 people would buy it. Nintendo would make more money charging less in this case, and this is just a simplified explanation as there are other factors at play, but I'm just talking about this to explain why Nintendo may be charging $80. Do I think Nintendo is an evil company trying to get every last penny out of their consumers? Not necessarily. I think it's certainly them making an anti-consumer and pro-profit decision, which most companies would make. But at the end of the day, Nintendo still does care about their games. They rarely release unfinished games, they do try and innovate, and there clearly is a lot of love put into their products. EA releases the same game every year and charges $70 for it. Ubisoft and Activision release many unfinished games and then charge a ton for DLC, and Nintendo, while not perfect, is at least better than these companies in my opinion. This isn't a black and white issue, and I'm trying to look at it from both sides. Nintendo is deserving of criticism, and if you feel the price isn't justified, you should not buy their games or system. It doesn't mean you're broke or whining about money, but you just don't feel it's worth the price and would rather use your money elsewhere. I really just made this video to talk about both extremes of hating and defending Nintendo because it's just tiring not being able to say anything positive or negative about Nintendo without armies of online intellectuals telling you how you're wrong or just complaining. All I'm saying is to try and take both sides into account and be more rational and understanding when having a discussion about the Switch 2. I'm sure if you look in the comments, there's probably people who prove my point in this video. You can criticize Nintendo without hating them and can enjoy the system while also not being happy about prices or other factors. But anyway, that's just my rant on this topic. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and like as it helps out, and comment your thoughts on this situation. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.